Okay, welcome back from lunch. Today we're going to talk about tools for Office 365 partners. In particular, I want to give you an overview of the types of tools and capabilities and resources that you can use as an Office 365 partner to manage and administer your customers. My name is Adam Young. I'm on the Office 365 product management team. I've been at Microsoft for a few years now. I've done various product management activities, starting off doing the work on Windows Server and some of the networking technologies in Windows Server, and learned very early on that it's hard to market protocols like DHCP, DNS, WINS, IPsec, a lot of fun stuff there. I also was involved in network security products from Microsoft, Exchange and Link as well. But for the last 2 or 3 years, I've been exclusively focused on the partner experience. That is, trying to define and deliver to you guys the types of tools that you guys need to effectively manage and administer customers. And that's what I want to talk about here today. I don't think there's any doubt that the world has changed for our partners with the rise of cloud services. It used to be that the product was completely disconnected from the partner experience. Meaning we would go off and press a few million CDs, stuff the channel, stock the channel, and then pretty much tell partners all the best. Go for it. Go forth and sell. Deploy. And that is changing. Changing in the context that the product experience is becoming more closely connected to the actual partner experience in terms of what we enable you to do within the service. So I want to talk about what that looks like too. I remember talking to one partner who was traditionally specialized in deployments of Exchange on-premise. And this partner was going through a pretty significant transformation in terms of evolving their business model for Office 365 in the cloud. And at some point, they were even struggling with understanding what's my role as a partner in this new world. I'm very comfortable and I'm very familiar with deployment and management, but I kind of deploy and then kind of disappear, or deploy and dash, he would say. And it became apparent to him that he was being pressured by his customers, what his customers wanted, to do more than that, to evolve his business to become more of a managed service provider. In other words, not just being involved in initial deployment, but being involved in owning the entire customer lifecycle, from initial deployment or sales, so the upfront part, deployment, but then ongoing management, ongoing administration, owning the support lifecycle as well. So he was forced, in that particular case, to evolve his business in the context of what the cloud delivers to customers. And it's a very common theme that we hear. So I'm in a privileged position of working with a lot of different partner types, spanning the traditional partner acronyms like the ISVs, the VARs, the SIs, managed service providers, our distributors and hosters. And we see a lot of commonalities in that we tend to place these partners in very distinct categories like these acronyms, but those lines are blurring in that a lot of these partners are starting to converge around similar business models, but also being very creative in terms of how they're evolving their model based on what works for them and how they can monetize it and be successful. So we'll talk about the baseline set of capabilities that we are offering with the principle of let you guys go forth, reduce friction for you guys in how you manage and administer your customers, and ultimately help you guys be successful. So for today's session, we'll talk about a few things. One is we'll talk about something called the Partner Admin Center within Office 365. Many of you may be familiar with that, but that's in essence our portal experience that partners can use to manage and administer customers. We'll talk a little bit about our newly released Partner Admin mobile app, so for on-the-go scenarios as well. We'll talk about how you can use reporting, different reporting mechanisms such as via PowerShell and reporting web services to have better visibility into the customers that you manage. And then finally, we'll talk about some additional resources as well. So we'll walk through that. We'll take questions at the end as well. But let's go ahead and get started. Okay, the first one that I mentioned is the Partner Admin Center. A quick show of hands, how many of you here are using the Partner Admin Center today? So it looks like about half. Half yes, maybe half no. So the Partner Admin Center is a portal experience for Office 365 partners. And we'll get in and show what that actually looks like. But think of this as your hub for managing customers. You can go there, see a list of all the customers that you manage, and then from there, you can perform tasks on behalf of your customers, starting within the Partner Admin Center. We also have the Partner Admin app. And so this is available on the 3 major platforms as of a couple of months ago. And this focuses on the mobile scenarios. And we'll talk a little bit about that and show what that looks like as well. And then, of course, if you want to perform operations in a more programmatic or bulk fashion, we have various PowerShell capabilities as well as some APIs as well that will honor that partner relationship. So you as a partner can do these things on behalf of your customers. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But on a high level, we think of these not as either this or that, meaning it's not like you have to use a portal or PowerShell. It's really a mix of when and why and how. Meaning in certain circumstances, you might be using the portal experience to perform some operations. But then if you want to do other things and scale those out via APIs or PowerShell, it's perfectly reasonable as well. So there's a place and a time and place for each of these tools and capabilities. OK, one of the consistent themes that we've heard from our partners is, number one, you want to own the customer lifecycle more and more. And I'm just going to go ahead and build this out. But this really comes down to 3 main categories in terms of what we hear commonly amongst partners as what you want to do. I call them the 3 S's: sell, see, and service. Sell meaning, how can we provide you the tools to enable your sales motion, sell more. See, how can we give you clear visibility into your customers and what your customers are doing? So removing some of the fog that might appear around your customers and having clear insight into what they're actually doing. And then service. Service meaning, how can I support or manage the service on behalf of my customers? And it really expands across the different partner types that we talk to. In various different ways, they might be doing these activities. For example, a large hoster or a distributor might be doing this at a very different scale than a VAR or an SI. But some of the core principles remain the same. Now, we also spend a lot of time asking partners what they are looking for or what they're trying to achieve with respect to their cloud business. As I described earlier, a lot of partners are transforming their business from a traditional on-prem business, perhaps to the cloud. Some are born in the cloud. But we hear some common themes here. One is they do want to own the customer relationship. Even if the service is operated by Microsoft, ultimately the partner wants to be that single point on behalf of the customer. They want to service the complete customer lifecycle, like I just mentioned, from ongoing sales, deployment, configuration, support, and then ultimately renewal of subscriptions or renewal of the service. So end-to-end customer lifecycle ownership. And then they want to attach partner services. So those services could be custom development work, could be a custom support package, but in essence, they want to be able to build on top of the core service. For a lot of partners, if you're just reselling Office 365 or even other cloud services, that in itself may not be enough to monetize or be an attractive economically for you. So you're looking, how can you attach your IP or your unique offerings to the cloud service? So we hear that commonly as well. Based on everything that we've seen here and a lot of the feedback that we've gotten from partners, we did announce last Worldwide Partner Conference, so last July, and we've continued from there, something we called the Cloud Solution Provider Program. This session is not meant to deep dive into the Cloud Solution Provider Program. We're not going to get into necessarily the business value or the economics of what that looks like. But it's important in the context of there are certain tools that are available to a cloud solution provider, as well as our other partner models that I want to talk to. So it's clear, depending on what type of partner you are or what Microsoft model you're operating in, you might have a different set of tools and a different set of responsibilities within that model. So that's why I wanted to bring this up as well. But in essence, the cloud solution provider model is built from the ground up to enable resale of Office 365 and other Microsoft cloud services. Right now, primarily Office 365. It enables partners to own the billing relationship. That's a big one. So partners oftentimes, because they do offer a collection of services to their customers, they want to own the single bill and deliver that to their customers. And the cloud solution provider model enables them to own that billing relationship with their customers. It also enables and provides tools for you to provision customers and manage subscriptions on behalf of your customers. And that's something that's new within the cloud solution provider model. The actual ability to enable a partner to provision a brand new tenant and provision brand new subscriptions on behalf of their customers. That's a new capability. Once again, giving partners that empowerment and that capability to perform those operations on behalf of customers. And then provide technical support. A lot of partners, their natural motion and their inclination is to provide technical support, and that's more formalized in the CSP model here. So, and this is in line with what I mentioned earlier in terms of owning the complete customer lifecycle, and these are some major components of that. What I do want to do is pause for a minute and talk a little bit about our main partner models in which you might sell or service Office 365, and just call out some high-level points on how they are different or how they are the same. Once again, this is not meant to be a deep dive on partner models and partner economics, but this is important in terms of the tools we provide you guys. Some of you may be involved in the advisor model, so you might be an online services advisor. Acting as an advisor, you are essentially advising on the sale of a subscription, but really the customer is purchasing it directly from Microsoft. And then you as a partner, because you are the advisor, you are eligible to receive advisor fees on that sale. But as part of being an advisor, that's really where that part ends. In other words, you don't necessarily provide technical support. You don't necessarily own the billing relationship from a Microsoft standpoint. It's really just more of a referral model, and you get an advisor fee on eligible purchases. So that's advisor. That's a very common model, and it's done very well. The open model provides slightly more than that in terms of partner capabilities and responsibilities. In the open model, you are able to own the billing relationship with that customer. So Microsoft bills the partner, and then it's up to the partner to bill the end customer. Within open, and even advisor as well, we do encourage partners to provide technical support, but there's no contractual obligation to do so. We just know many partners do, just as part of their natural business model. So that's the open model. And then the cloud solution provider model, which I just described, really provides you the tools to manage, provision, sell, and bill your customers, as well as provide technical support. And presumably, you're adding value-added services on top of that. This is another instance in which it's not necessarily better or worse to be operating in one of these models, or actually you might be operating in more than one of these models. But there are definitely different criteria and different things you get in evaluating each of these. So if you are not quite an Office 365 partner yet, I definitely encourage you to look up more information about each of these on MPN or our Microsoft Partner Network, and it'll give you more details about what you get, what you give, and how you operate in these models. But I thought this would be useful context as we talk about tools and capabilities. Some of these tools and capabilities that we will be talking about span all of these programs. So they're really available to any Office 365 partner, whereas some of them, for example, might only be available to a CSP partner or a cloud solution provider partner. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the Partner Admin Center. So the Partner Admin Center we have had out there for a little bit over a year now. What's interesting about the Partner Admin Center, this, as I described, is really the main portal experience for you to go as a partner and manage and administer your customers. Prior to the Partner Admin Center, we just had some very basic capabilities for you as a partner. And we've elevated that with the Partner Admin Center. Previously, you're pretty much able to establish what we call delegated admin privileges with the customer, but we didn't really have any capabilities beyond that. Yes, you could establish that relationship, but actually finding the customers in which you had these delegated admin privileges was very difficult. You had to search for them by the exact domain name, and if you didn't remember, you had to keep a separate spreadsheet of what they were. You had to look them up, and it was very, very clumsy. It was very difficult. So we've solved a lot of that with the Partner Admin Center. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the experience of the Partner Admin Center and how it's different across some of the programs I just described. There is a core Partner Admin Center that's really available to any Microsoft or Office 365 partner. So in essence, in order to get the baseline Partner Admin Center, you just have to have an MPN ID, which is free. Anyone can sign up to have an MPN ID. And then you have to click accept what's called the MOSPA, or the Microsoft Online Service Provider Agreement. So it's all done within the MPN, the context of the Microsoft Partner Network. But once you do that, then you can have your own tenant environment upgraded to have the Partner Admin Center. And here's a summary of what the capabilities are for the baseline Partner Admin Center. You, as a partner, can create trial invitations. So, for example, you can package up a trial invitation of Office 365 E1 for 25 licenses, send that link to customers, and then if that customer purchases that, you get assigned as the partner of record, and then you are eligible for advisor fees. So sending trial invitations. You can also send purchase offers. So sending a purchase offer to a customer for different Office 365 SKUs as well. We give you a client list. So we give you a list of all the customers in which you have delegated admin privileges. And that's a really important concept that we'll hit on here today. The concept of having delegated admin privileges. That is really the cornerstone of the experience. If you do not have that relationship with your customers, they will not appear within the Partner Admin Center. So it's very important that you do establish that relationship with your customers. But you can see a whole list of your customers, and then from there you can select a customer and do a number of things, which I'll show here in just a minute. It's also the starting point to perform admin tasks on behalf of your customers. For example, if you have a customer, you can configure Exchange, Link, SharePoint, whatever that customer is entitled to based on their subscriptions. The Partner Admin Center is your starting point for performing those tasks on behalf of the customer. And then you can also manage service requests for the customer, meaning customer has a problem, customer's calling you. You can actually use this experience to create a support ticket on behalf of your customer and then manage that support ticket throughout its life cycle. So that's the core Partner Admin Center. Now, what is a superset of the Partner Admin Center are some additional capabilities that we provide cloud solution provider partners. So they have all of those core baseline Partner Admin Center capabilities plus these additional capabilities, which are primarily focused on the ability to provision new customers. So provision a new customer tenant directly within that experience, ordering and managing subscriptions for that customer, and then you can do additional, what I call commerce types of transactions on those subscriptions, such as adding seats, reducing seats, ordering add-on subscriptions, and things like that. So it's all the cloud solution provider capabilities are heavily focused on transactions, subscription management. And once again, those are a superset of the core Partner Admin Center capabilities. All right, before we actually get into the tools, I wanted to spend a couple minutes talking about the difference between being a partner of record versus a delegated admin. Sometimes it's a little bit confusing as to what the difference is, and they are very different. In fact, they're not really connected in too many ways. In essence, so this is just a table lining up some of the differences, but in essence, partner of record, as I mentioned earlier, you get associated as a partner of record on an individual subscription that you might advise on. So it is at the subscription level. And if you are the partner of record and an online services advisor partner, then you are eligible to receive advisor fees on that subscription. But being a partner of record does not give you any delegated admin privileges. Totally disconnected. It's just basically a tagging by which you as a partner are associated with the subscription and you're eligible for advisor fees. Whereas with delegated admin privileges, or DAP, that is at the tenant level, not at the subscription level, but the overall tenant level. What does that mean? It means that as a partner, if you have delegated admin privileges for that customer tenant, you are able to manage, in essence, all aspects of that tenant's environment. So Exchange, Link, SharePoint, whatever the customer may have. The other thing about partner of record that I forgot to mention is partner of record does not automatically grant you delegated admin privileges. you have to get delegated admin privileges in a completely separate process. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Okay, so that was the main thing. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that in terms of the flow, a customer can assign a partner of record on a subscription within their own admin portal. So as a customer, if I'm working with a partner, I can go into my own admin portal and go into that subscription and assign a partner who's been working with me. Whereas the process for delegated administration is slightly different. The partner actually has to send a request to the customer saying, I want to be a delegated administrator for your tenant, and the customer has to explicitly accept the terms of that. Because in essence, the customer is giving that partner the right to see and configure the service on their behalf. Okay, so I wanted to mention that because sometimes it's not obvious how these two are different, these two concepts. But for the purpose of the Partner Admin Center, a lot of it does hinge off of the delegated admin privilege relationship. So it's very important there. All right, we mentioned POR is not a prerequisite to be a delegated admin. Oh, this is actually very important as well. Partner record is at the subscription level. You can only have one partner per subscription. In other words, you can't have multiple partners associated at the same subscription. But in terms of delegated admin privileges at the tenant level, a customer may have one or more partners with delegated admin privileges. Well, why would a customer want to do that? A customer might want to do that if they have one partner who's really good at Exchange deployments and Exchange management, and a completely different partner who's really good at SharePoint Online or another service. But ultimately, it's within the customer's control and the customer's power to grant that privilege to the two partners. Now, in general, we don't see that customers naturally want to have a lot of different partners involved in their environment, but there are clear circumstances in which it is to the benefit of customers to have multiple partners involved with them. All right, we already mentioned those two. So what I want to do now is actually flip on over and show you a little bit about the Partner Admin Center live and in action. All right, let me just bring up my browser, then I'll flip over the screen. Okay, so this is the landing page of the Partner Admin Center. And as you can see, front and center is a list of the customers in which you have delegated admin privileges. Now, I will mention this particular Partner Admin Center has cloud solution provider capabilities in it as well. So I'll start by going through the core capabilities, and then I'll call out what is special or specific to our CSP partners. But front and center, you have a list of the customers in which you have delegated admin privileges, and it's sorted alphabetically, and you can flip from A to Z to A. And this was what's interesting. This was probably the number one ask, even going back a year ago. Just give me a single place that I can go to that has all my customers listed. So it sounds like a very fundamental and a very simple thing, but to have just a list of your customers was a great stride forward. Now from here, a couple things that I'll point out. You can select any particular customer from this list. In this example, I'll go ahead and highlight the customer called Fourth Coffee. Actually, I'll back up. Before I do that, I want to orient you to some of the different fields on the list. So organization name is obvious. That's just the customer's name. Their primary domain name, so that's their onmicrosoft.com domain name. That's the second column. The relationship column is an indicator to you what type of customer they are, what type of relationship you have with them. So as you see, most of these particular customers are noted as being a cloud solution provider customer. The one I have highlighted is noted as an advisor customer. That advisor customer means that you have delegated admin privileges for that customer, but you did not acquire that customer as a CSP partner. So that's just an easy way for you to visually look at it and understand which customer has which relationship with you. On the far right-hand column is a column called admin. This gives you a quick link to go directly into the Office 365 Admin Center for that customer. So for example, if I were to click on the A icon, it would take me directly into that customer's admin center. And from there, I could perform any number of tasks on behalf of the customer. The icon to the right of that, the I icon, that will take you directly to the service health dashboard for that customer. One of the common scenarios that we hear from our partners and customers Customers will call you all the time if something's not working. Email is down. I can't get to my SharePoint site. And the first thing that oftentimes that partners will do is they'll go into the Partner Admin Center and look at the service health dashboard for that customer to see if there are any known service incidents that might be impacting that customer. And if there is a known incident, they might be able to communicate back to the customer, oh, there is a known Exchange Online incident, so hang tight, and we'll figure out more information about that. Or Microsoft will communicate more about that. If they go to the service health dashboard and they see no active service incidents, then they actually might want to proceed and open up a support ticket on behalf of their customer and manage it that way. But this will take you directly to the service health dashboard for that customer, and I'll show that in just a minute. All right, so I've got the customer highlighted, and off to the right-hand side, you will see some summary information about that customer, such as quick links to the individual admin centers. You can do that very quickly by clicking on Office 365, or even some of the workload level admin center links here. You see this link here called Unflagged Client. This is the ability to filter your customers by really 3 different ways. Up on the top here, you see the main filtering mechanism. You can filter your customers by who you have manually flagged. You can filter them by which ones you've recently accessed. Or for our CSP partners, you can also filter by those that you have recently added as customers. And the way you flag a customer, let's suppose, and this is in particular helpful for partners who manage a lot of customers, dozens or hundreds. It might be not as easy to page through pages and pages of customers. So you might want to manually flag or put in like your wish list, not your wish list, your hot list of customers by manually flagging them. So what you do is you would highlight the customer and either you toggle to flag or unflag. And then once you have the toggling on to which clients you've actually flagged, you can filter the list and it will only show those customers that you have flagged. So just one quick way to get to customers you care about most. And of course, you can also search by customer by their name. So if I type in any particular string here, it'll come back and highlight the closest matches. You can get to it very quickly that way as well. And also, there is something we just released a few weeks ago called the What's New. And this gives you a quick look within the Partner Admin Center, what has changed or been updated or any known issues around the Partner Admin Center. Some partners have given us feedback. It's great, you are continuously adding new features or capabilities. How do I stay up to date? This is one way that you can do that. You can just click on the What's New link and get a listing or a description of what's been added or what's been updated, or perhaps some known issues that might be affecting the Partner Admin Center as well. So that's the What's New link. Okay, so that's the main orientation to the landing page of your client list. And from here, you can do a variety of things. Let's suppose the scenario is one that a customer is calling you, such as A-Datum. We'll just take the first one on top here. A-Datum is calling you, and they're having some problems with their Exchange Online or even Link Online. Let's say Link Online, that they're not able to establish, not able to set up meetings for Link Online. So one of the first things you might do is go into your Partner Admin Center and then look at the service health associated with A-Datum. There's a couple ways you can do that. One is you can actually click on the eye icon, and clicking on that will take you directly to the service health dashboard for A-Datum. So this is for A-Datum, and you can see for today as well as the past 7 days. And if you want to go further back than that, you can see the past 30 days if there are any known service incidents that might be impacting A-Datum. So you see in this particular example, it looks pretty clear today for Link Online and Exchange Online. So if A-Datum were having problems, it's probably not a service-wide outage. It might be specific to them, or it might be an issue that might require resolution through a support ticket. So that's a quick way to look at the full service health dashboard for A-Datum. Now, I'm going to go ahead and click on the service health link on the left-hand side. And what this is an aggregated view of service health across your customers. So what I just showed you was just the individual service health dashboard for A-Datum. But if you want to know across all the customers that you serve, are there any known service incidents that are impacting across customers? This is a view of that. So for example, Link Online, this says there are 4 incidents in that category. If I were to expand that, it actually will show me the count of number of affected clients I have based on that Link Online. So for example, there are 4 items listed here, And it gives you a client count for how many clients are affected by that particular incident. And if I wanted additional details about that, for example, oh, online meetings, I see there's a known issue around online meetings. If I click on the 7, it'll take me a page that will show the actual client names that are affected or may be affected by that particular incident. So here, affected clients is 7. And then here are the flag clients that are affected, as well as the non-flag clients that are affected. Now, if I were to click on any of these individual links, it would take me directly to the Service Health dashboard for that customer as well. So this was a nice feature in terms of rolling up and aggregating service incidents in a quick view. So if you want to go customer by customer, you can still continue to do that. But if you wanted a quick snapshot, looking across the customers that you serve, this is a way to do that as well. All right, let's go ahead and back out of that. Now, let's suppose going along that scenario, ADatum, you've looked for your customer ADatum. There are no known outages that you've seen, so you need to go ahead and create a support request. So what you do is you click on the service request link on the left-hand side. And this would show you if there are any open support tickets associated with ADatum, this would show these here. And then you can manage those service requests or even close those on behalf of the customer. But here, let's suppose you need to actually open up a new service ticket. You click on the plus sign here, and then that would start to kick off the flow for you to open up a service request on behalf of that customer. And actually what's happening, when I click on the plus icon, it's actually taking me directly within the customer's admin portal and taking me to the support ticket flow within the customer's admin portal. So you click on support request here. For example, I won't go through the whole thing, but that's how you kick it off. And then you're off and running. All right, I'm going to click back over to the main Partner Admin Center. And I'll finish off this part with going to the Build Your Business section. This section right now is just for you acting as an advisor partner. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the session, as an advisor, you can send a trial invitation, you can send a purchase offer, or you can send a request to be a delegated admin. So that's where you do that here. So you can click on any of these create invitation links. For example, let's click on request permissions for delegated administration. And basically this creates email text as well as a unique link that you would copy and paste into your own email program or email templates and send that off to your customers. And if they accept that, that will establish that delegated admin relationship with your customers, and you're off and running. So that Build Your Business section is for our online service partners and to do those 3 things: trials, purchase offers, and delegated administration. All right, so let me go back to the main landing page. That was just a quick overview of the Partner Admin Center. On MPN, for those of you who are partners, we have a complete walkthrough deck, which pretty much goes screen by screen of all the different things you can do. I definitely encourage you to go get that and consume that if you want to learn more about that. But this is, the portal experience you should consider this to be your first place to go when managing customers and administering customers. And what I want to do now is talk a little bit about the Partner Admin mobile app. So as I mentioned, we released the mobile app in February. We released it first on iOS and Android, and then we released it on Windows Phone a few days after that. And obviously, in a mobile scenario, it's going to be very different than if you are sitting in front of a browser. I don't expect that you're going to be configuring and deploying Link Online through a mobile client, right? Most often not. So we spent a lot of time thinking of what are the core mobile scenarios that we need to light up to make it useful for partners in a handheld format. And so that's what we have here in the Partner Admin mobile app. So I'm going to go ahead and log into this really quickly. All right, let's see if I can get it work. There we go. Oh, well, that's nice. My application has quit unexpectedly. Let's try it again. I didn't like that either. Okay. Well, that's why we have backup screens. Okay, so let's do this. So this is the Partner Admin mobile app. The experience is very similar across the main platforms, so Windows Phone, iOS, and Android. So this is the main login page. So you use the same credentials that you use to log into your Partner Admin Center. So it's exactly the same. Then, once you log in, what you're going to see is your customer list. So you have two ways to view your customer list when you log in. You can see all the customers, which you see on the screen here, or you can also see your flagged customers. So you can toggle over and look at the flagged customers. So just a quick way to see both sides of your customer list. Also on the app, there's a flyout ribbon on the left-hand side, so you can quickly jump to one of the major areas of the mobile app. And I'll walk through these really quick. The clients, this will just take you back to your main screen of clients, so your client list. The second one down is health. So that's a quick way to get to service health for an individual client that you serve, and we'll show what that looks like. Users, if you click on users, that will take you to the actual end users within that customer's environment. And if you go there, you can do things like look at the users, you can reset passwords, you can assign users to licenses as well. So that's the users function. Support. You would click on support if you wanted to view service requests that are associated with that customer, as well as do some simple operations on that service request, such as close the request, reopen the request, or edit some of the details of that request as well. The messages icon, this will take you to the message center for a particular customer. So you can see all the messages that might be associated with that customer that are piped into the customer's message center. In general, you can see that these main capabilities are really focused on what is a partner typically going to do in a mobile scenario. Usually you're taking a call from a customer that says something's broke, something's not working, I need to reset a password. So really organize around those common tasks or common scenarios that are easy to perform in a mobile scenario and also likely to happen for you as a partner in a mobile scenario. This shows all of your customers listed. This shows we've toggled over to view only your flagged customers, the same flagging that you had applied within the Partner Admin Center. Now, if we go to Service Health, you've clicked on Service Health in the context of your customer A datum. And we see right now, it shows by color, yellow, green, or red, if there are any known service incidents associated with that customer. And here, there's one for Exchange Online. If you were to tap on that Exchange Online incident, you would see additional details about that particular incident. So you know, oh, maybe I need to proactively reach out to the customer and communicate, or take some other action perhaps. Now, if I go back to the band and click on Support, I'm able to view service requests associated with that customer. And for this particular service request, I'm actually able to edit some of the details of that if I press on the edit icon. Or I can reopen one. I can reopen a service request if it had been previously closed. In this scenario, I've gone back to the message center associated with that particular customer. So I see all the messages that are exposed to a datum. And I can tap on any particular message and get the full details of that particular message to understand if there's some action I need to take on behalf of that customer within their environment. And of course, feedback. This is actually for you to give feedback to us on the app itself. Feedback is a gift, and we like those gifts, and we get a lot of them in terms of what you'd like to see, what you'd like to have changed. So definitely provide feedback if you're using the app, because we read every single piece of feedback that we get. All right, so that's a quick tour of the mobile app. Now let me flip back over to the main screen here. All right, we did that. There is more information about the Partner Admin mobile app. There's a blog post about a month or so ago. And if you go to the stores, all the 3 major stores, you'll find it there as well. Okay, and with that being said, now I want to invite Matt to come on stage and talk to you a little bit more about, as a partner, what you can do, or some of the capabilities around reporting so you have better visibility, insight to your customers. Matt?
Great, thanks, Adam. My name is Matt Finger. I'm a program manager in the Office 365 Partner Engineering team. So Adam has walked us through some of the tools that you can see that you can use as being a partner. So what about scenarios where there's operations that you want to do repeatedly for some of your customers? Or there's more detailed configuration information that you'd like to tweak or expose that's not available in the portal. Or, for example, you want to get access to the wealth of information that's actually in Office 365 about your customers. Okay? So what I'd like to do is spend a little bit of time and talk through how to access that information via PowerShell. And so we'll walk through a number of different scenarios that will help us kind of explore how we can do these operations. So the first thing I want to do before I jump into the PowerShell is back up just a little bit and kind of stress about the delegated admin permissions that Adam mentioned earlier. Okay? So as Adam showed you, you have the ability to invite customers into that delegated admin permissions relationship with you. Okay? Now this is key. It provides administrative access from your tenant to your customer tenants. That's how you can do things on behalf. A lot of people call this AOBO or administer on behalf of. It's the same thing as the delegated access permissions. That's what gives you the ability to do this. Now, one thing that's interesting is, depending on the type of partner that you are, sometimes this happens automatically. Okay? If you're in our syndication partner program, or as Adam talked about, our CSP, our Cloud Solution Provider partner program, this happens automatically. When you provision a customer and set them up within Office 365, you're automatically granted this delegated access permission. Now, if you're an advisor partner, as Adam showed, you can invite customers that agree to this to be able to be in this relationship with you. Okay? Again, this is kind of the whole thing that stitches everything together as the relationship between you as the partner and your customers. Okay? Now, what is PowerShell? So just a quick show of hands from everybody. Who is familiar with PowerShell or have played with it? Okay, great. A lot of people. Okay. So for those of you who aren't, I looked up this quote from Ed Wilson, our Microsoft scripting guy. And I think it sums it up fairly well. PowerShell is a scripting language that's object-oriented and allows you to access a lot of the information and configuration of the objects within Microsoft services. Okay? Now, as a side note, if you've been down to the Expo Center, Ed actually has a booth down there. You'll see it's a Microsoft booth, the scripting guys. If you want to talk to Ed, he's a wealth of information around PowerShell, so I'd recommend you go down and talk to him down in the Expo Center. So from the PowerShell view of the world, okay, delegated access permissions are represented by what we call the partner contracts within Azure Active Directory. This is what maps, I'm the partner, to my customer, and maps that you have those abilities to do that. Okay? So this is key because this actually gives us a list of who our customers are. And we can use that list within PowerShell to do operations on our customers. This first example here that I want to talk through is a PowerShell script, if you're not familiar with it. And don't worry, I won't go too much into the code part of PowerShell here. But what this script does is it actually has me log in. You'll notice the very top line there. I'm logging in as the partner. Okay? I don't need admin credentials for the customer to be able to do these things. So I'm going to be logging in as a partner. The next step there is I'm just going to be connecting to the PowerShell service for Azure Active Directory. Then what I'm going to be doing is getting all of their contracts. And then the final step is kind of walking through those contracts and doing something of interest in there. Okay? The first thing I want to call your attention to is getting all of those contracts. So here I'm using the Get MSO Partner Contract commandlet within PowerShell to be able to get a list of all of those partner contracts for my customers. Okay? This is the same list that Adam showed you that you see in PAC. Now, for each of those contracts that I have, let me do something interesting. In this example, I'm just going to be pulling up what is their initial domain. Okay? Okay? When I get those contracts back, I know who they are by what we call their tenant ID. It's one of those long GUID numbers. Okay? But I want to reference them sometimes by their domain. So here I'm going to pull out and actually display their initial onmicrosoft.com domain. So here's an example of the output of this. Okay? So this is useful information, but what's really beneficial about this is all of the other commandlets and access within PowerShell. Since you have delegated access permission with your customers, you can use either their tenant ID or in some cases their domain to be able to perform operations on behalf of your customers. Okay? Now, within Azure Active Directory, there's a number of PowerShell commandlets. I won't go through all of them in today's session, but it allows me to do everything around managing users, managing domains, subscriptions and licenses, as well as a lot of the customer information that's in there. So if I want to add users for my customers, I want to add domains for them, I can do those things within the Azure Active Directory PowerShell commandlets. Now, you're probably asking, okay, that's really cool, but what about all of the other services within O365? Okay? A lot of the Azure Active Directory ones are going to ask you to supply a tenant. You can provide an additional parameter to say, I want to do this operation, but I want to do it on this other tenant. Okay? That's where those partner contracts are important to get that tenant ID. Now, to access some of the other services, you can actually supply their domain name. Again, this is the domain name of your customer. If you would run these commandlets or run these commands here without supplying something of your customers, then what it's going to be doing is actually be performing those operations on your own tenant, which is probably not what you want. You want to do this on your customers' tenants. So under Exchange Online, they provide a similar capability. It's the parameter called delegated org. Okay, so this is a delegated organization to you. So I would actually, when I connect my PowerShell session to Exchange, let's say I wanted to manage somebody's mailbox quotas, okay? Then I would connect to there using delegated org and using the customer's domain. If I have delegated admin permissions, then this operation will be successful. SharePoint does a similar thing in which you supply the URL that you'd like to connect to. In this case, I'm connecting to the customer's admin URL for SharePoint. Once I'm connected in that context, any commands that I run are going to be manipulating that customer. Okay? The final one here is link. So link works the same way. It uses the override admin so that you can supply another domain in there. And again, this performs the same thing. You put your customer's domain in there to be able to access and administer their information. So here's an example. So in this scenario, let's suppose that your customers are calling and complaining, I'm getting a lot of malware via my email, and I'm not sure why. So you want to go out there and you want to be able to look at this information, look at how your customers are configured for their malware policies. Maybe they inadvertently changed something, or maybe it's time to step up the policy that they have within the system. So again, the beginning part of the script is similar to the previous example, so I'm just building on that. But when I get down here, I'm pulling their initial domain, because as you saw in the earlier slide, Exchange is going to want to know what is the domain you want to connect to, not the tenant ID. So I'll pull all of the domains for my customers. You'll see here, as I'm building the URL to be able to connect to the Exchange PowerShell session, that I'm using the delegated org parameter. Again, I would put in the customer's domain in here for each of the customers that's in my list of partner contracts. Finally, I'm using the get malware filter policy for each of those customers. Again, you'll see here that I'm running this policy, but because I connected to PowerShell, to Exchange PowerShell, with the delegated org, I'm actually going to be getting my customer's malware policy. Here's just a brief example of what that output looks like. Okay? So I could use this information to go through each of my customers and make sure that they have the right policy enabled and the right configuration to support what they need to be doing. Now let me take a little bit of a side here and talk about reporting. So there's reporting that's available through Office 365 reporting web services. number of ways to get to that. We can either go into the partner admin console and go into the tenant via the AOBO that Adam showed you and run various reports around mailbox activity, those types of things, and pull that information there. And there's a number of the standard kind of common scenario reports that are available that way. Next, we can actually call this information via PowerShell. Okay? The Office 365 reporting web service is provided by the Exchange infrastructure. So all of the reports are available. There's a Get Mailbox Statistics Reports commandlet in PowerShell to be able to pull that information. This gives me a little bit more flexibility that I can pull down the data that I'm interested in and do a little bit of filtering. Okay? Now, there's a more advanced option that if I'm familiar with coding or I have tools that are allowed to connect to REST-based web services, I'll be able to pull down that data directly through the web service, through a REST-based call. Now that offers me obviously the most configuration. I can do some advanced filtering on the data, just give me the data, the exact data that I would like to see. Okay? I provided links here that you can kind of click through and get a lot more information on those various types of access methods. What I'd like to show here is an example of using a standard BI tool. So for me, it's Microsoft Excel. For you, it might be a different tool. That is an OData compliant tool. So with an OData compliant tool, I can actually access that web service and pull down the report information that I'm interested in. So the example here, you'll see the Excel data import wizard or the data connection wizard. You'll notice in my link, I'm putting in the REST-based connection URL, which is you can get to in the links in the previous slide. But the big thing to notice here is I'm using the delegated org parameter here. Okay? And in the place there where I have domain, that's where you would actually enter the domain of your customer to be able to pull this information. Okay? The other thing to note, when I'm logging in, again, I'm logging in as the partner, as my test partner, as me. I don't need to log in as the customer to pull down each information for my customer. Because I have delegated access, I have access to be able to run these reports on behalf of the customer. The data connection wizard finds that I have one table of information that I can actually import. I decide I'm going to throw that into my existing spreadsheet into a table. And I end up with this information in Excel that I can do with and spin it however I would prefer to do. In this example, I'm using a license versus usage summary report. So it's showing me the customer with their tenant ID that we saw from their partner contracts. And for each of their workloads, how many trial licenses do they have? How many real licenses do they have? And how many active users do they have in there? And what we've done with this report is actually set it up that these are actual users that are using the service. So for Exchange, they're actually sending and receiving email. It's not just they're assigned a license. Okay? So this is valuable information for us to be able to look at. Now I can take this information in my tool and do with it as I will to get the view that I'm looking at. Now, the big challenge is, okay, that's great, but I have a number of customers. Does this mean I have to actually go in and run each of these commands one at a time for each of my customers? Well, what we can actually do is we can use the stuff that we've learned in the previous slides to kind of build the right PowerShell script to actually do this aggregation for you automatically, to be able to get the list of the partner contracts, which is effectively my customer list, run these reports for each of those customers, and then at the very end, kind of aggregate all that data into a useful single output that I can use for my investigation or for my analysis. So here, script's getting a little more complicated. I've purposely left out the first part of the script and the end part of the script and just kind of let the meat in it. Now, if you're disappointed because you're excited to go home or go back to the hotel and start running PowerShell things, at the very end of the presentation, after the presentation, so if you download the slide deck, you will actually see the complete PowerShell command scripts that you can just cut and paste out of there and execute yourself and do it. Okay, so you don't have to worry about piecing this stuff together. The key pieces in here is at the very beginning, here's where I'm building the URL that I'll be connecting to do the report. Here you'll see I'm using the mailbox statistics report. Okay? The second line, this is where using a REST-based service gives you a little bit more flexibility. I can actually select the specific fields that I'm interested in. I might not want everything. I just want specific things. So I'm just going to pull down that information to do it. Here is where I'm constructing the actual complete URL of calling this. Again, you'll notice here I'm using the delegated org parameter. Okay? And then I'll be plugging in each of my customers' domains as I do this. Here's an example. Now, I mentioned earlier in the slide, I could have called this report directly from PowerShell. Okay, there is a get mailbox statistics report that is a PowerShell commandlet. In this example, what I'm actually doing is using PowerShell to call a REST-based method. Okay, so I've constructed all of those things, and I'll execute it as a REST call. The final section here is just a little bit of configuration that when I get that information back from the REST-based call, it comes back as a JSON payload. And so I take that and turn it into a PowerShell object for me. Because then I can later manipulate that or format it the way I want it to be able to output in the format I desire. Here's an example of the output. The script that ran produced a CSV output file. When I open that up in Excel, you can see it's outputting the information that I asked it for. My customers, you'll see Rockledge Partners there, as well as all of their users, and all the way over in the far right, what is their current mailbox usage? How much of their mailbox is used? As you can see, not a very busy customer in email. Next customer down is the couple group, and these will go on for as many customers as I have. So I have one big file with all of this information. So this is great. I can now spin this across. Which customers are running low on mailbox? Which customers should I contact to see if they need additional storage? Now, we talked through a number of different scenarios, but let's just kind of pull this all together into one, pulling all the things that we've learned together. So let's say I'm a managing partner at Zulu Consulting Services. I'm a Microsoft advisor, and I'm interested in information on my customers that's up to accurate, because I want to help to better support my customers. How are they using the services today? Okay. Is there other upsell opportunities for me? Are they using Exchange heavily? Or are they using SharePoint heavily? Is there something that I have in my tool set that I can help them with a value-add services? Additionally, I know I need to get my customers using Office 365, okay, so they can see the value of it, so they continue to use the service going forward. So what I've done is I've asked one of my technical people, Sally, to pull this information out of it. Now, luckily, Sally attended this session at Ignite and understands how to go in via PowerShell and grab some of this information. So I asked Sally to get this information for me. So let me quickly just flip over to my machine, and I'll show you what Sally has given me. To steal Adam's connection here. This is always the fun of doing live demos. Yep. It's a common thing. There we go. That's much better. So I asked Sally to get this information, so Sally quickly went down to her office, put together the PowerShell script, ran it, and sent me back this great spreadsheet. So what this spreadsheet is showing me is it's showing me my list of customers. Okay, you can see the customer name there in the middle. It's also showing me their location. Okay, as well as the usage that they have. So for each of the services, for each of these customers, how many licenses do they have and how many active users do they have? Now, this is great information. This is what I was looking for. The problem is it's kind of hard to get any good insights out of this, okay? So I can put this into whatever BI tool that I would like to use to try to analyze this. In my case, what I'm going to actually do is use Microsoft Power Map to get more of a graphical representation of this information, okay? Because I want to understand, is there anything that I can glean from this? Also, I need to go to the other managing partners in my firm and show them what I'm thinking, where we need to target more work. How many people have seen Power Map so far? Okay, a few of us, great. What I'm showing here is this is the Power Map add-in that you can put into Excel, okay? Now, if you're interested, you can go down to the Expo Center, and they're actually helping people load up the Office 16 preview onto your own laptop. So you go down there, Microsoft will help you get that all installed. That also includes Power Map if you want to sit and play with this. So what I've done in Power Map is I've actually created a tour of my data. I want a graphical view and a tour of what is this data showing me so that I can do it, I can talk with my other partners. So what I'm going to do is just play this tour for us real quick. So this is showing my region that I sell in. I sell in the UK, France, and Germany. I can see based on this graph that most of my customers are actually over in Germany, okay? So that's probably the area that I want to look at. But I'm interested in it, you know, what are the customers' actual usage for these things? So what does this look like across my region to do this? So I'll let this build out a little bit. So as I look at the actual graphical representation of the data, this is showing me where are my active users by service, okay? So across all of my customers, you can see by the bar charts who's using Exchange, for example, a lot, which is the purple bluish bar, okay? And what other services are they not using? Maybe I want to call into those customers to say, why, hey, you know, you have Yammer. We really should get you activated in using Yammer. Now, Germany looks really interesting here because it has the most number of customers. So let me zoom in there quick and look at this. So this shows me all of my customers within Germany. Now, kind of glean from this that, boy, I probably have to have a conversation with my sales representative in Hamburg because his customers' utilization is quite low on that, okay? So again, this could be any BI tool that you would prefer to use to be able to look in and get the insights into this information. So let me flip back real quick. Got too many controls up here. So now, I went through a number of different areas around PowerShell, and I know there was a lot of detail in there that we went through fairly quickly. There's a number of resources that you can access to be able to get more information on this. If you're not familiar with PowerShell or you want to learn more about it, because you know a little bit about it, this is probably the best link to go to. There's a number of training videos and everything out there to be able to pull this. We actually just released out on TechNet what we call kind of PowerShell for partners. It covers all of the aspects that I covered here about using delegated org, using partner contracts, okay? And so you can look through that on TechNet. Additionally, like I mentioned earlier, Ed Wilson, the scripting guy, he has a blog out there. It's called Hey Scripting Guy blog, a wealth of information regularly updated. I found out, and I actually have it on my phone, there's now a mobile app for his blog, so it lets you know, if you're that into PowerShell, exactly when things get posted. It's actually a pretty valuable app for you to watch that blog. And then finally, the reporting web services. I showed you two different reports, the mailbox statistics and the usage. There's a wealth of other reports out there. If you go out to the reporting web services, it gives you all of those reports, instructions on how to use them, what is the right syntax and format to be able to call them. So with that, Adam, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay. Really quickly, there was a part of the Partner Admin Center that I forgot to show you that's pretty important. And those are some capabilities that are available to our cloud solution provider partners in terms of some of the provisioning capabilities that I mentioned. So what I want to do is flip back over just for a couple minutes before we close out and show some of that. What I primarily focused on in the main demo previously were mainly the Partner Admin Center capabilities available to our advisor partners, so the ability to admin on behalf of some of the trial invitations and service health and some of those aspects. Now I want to talk specifically around some of the capabilities available to our CSP partners. So for example, if I wanted to, as a CSP partner, if I wanted to create a brand new customer, let's suppose I sold to a customer that wasn't on Office 365 yet. And so what I would do as a CSP partner, I'd go into my Partner Admin Center and I would simply click on the Add Client link. And once, oh, not switched over. Okay, let's try it again. Thank you. That's better. All right, so what you're going to see here is, I'm sorry, say that again? Okay, great. Let me go back really quick. Let me just toggle my monitor so I can duplicate this. Let me start back so it's a little bit easier to follow. All right, so basically I've logged into my Partner Admin Center, and I'm an onboarded CSP partner, so I have the CSP capabilities within my Partner Admin Center, and I've sold to a new customer that's not on the service yet, so I simply click on Add Client. Now, when you click on Add Client, up comes a very simple form of information you have to supply about this customer, such as their name, their contact name, their address, their city and state. And then a very important part is typing in the desired primary domain name for their on Microsoft.com domain. It's important for a couple of reasons. One is, once you put this in, you can't change it. It's kind of a one-way street, and there's probably some of you may have gone down that dark alley where you've accidentally entered in the wrong domain or created the wrong domain. So make sure you type in the right domain. So once you do that, once you fill out the customer's information and provide their primary domain, on the next screen, actually let me try to do this really quick just for the purposes of this so you can see how it comes to life. Customer's name is Ignite Test. Let's see, Katie Jordan will be the contact. Katie Jordan, oops, in Redmond. Zip code, phone number. Let's see. I'm going to pick my primary domain. Let's call this Ignite Test Tenant. And that's my actual email if you want to bug me about anything. Click on Next. Oh, I forgot a field somewhere, didn't I? Oh, it's already taken. See? Oh, that's the other thing. So it does check it right in line, your primary domain. So if it is taken, it doesn't allow you to proceed, which is actually a nice thing. It'll kick you back for Adam. There you go. You're kidding. That one's actually taken? Try that. And obviously, you wouldn't do something probably that goofy for a real customer, but. Oh, that's got to be a bug. You can't tell me that's actually taken. Let's try something completely different. How about room 502 test? Oh, she didn't like that. All right, well, let's suppose that actually went through. What you see on the next screen is the ability, once you cleared this, you would actually be presented of the catalog of offers that you want to provision on behalf of that customer. So for example, you click on, do I want to provision E1, business premium, link online, any number of offers. And it's essentially the same catalog of offers available if you were to purchase directly from Microsoft. You click on the offer that you want to purchase, you click on the number of seats, and then we give you a confirmation screen saying, this is the new customer you're about to provision. This is the offer you're about to provision and the number of seats. And then you click on submit. And then once you click on submit, usually fairly instantaneously, it might take 30 to 60 seconds to actually provision the tenant in the background. But fairly quickly after that, usually within a minute, they will appear on your customer list and noted as a cloud solution provider customer. And then going forward from that, you can select any of those CSP customers, and then you can do all the normal Partner Admin Center capabilities, such as admin on behalf. But then there are a couple of links that are specific just to CSP partners under actions, such as manage subscriptions and add-ons or add new subscriptions. So for example, if I were to click on the manage subscriptions and add-ons link for this particular customer, I'm able to perform different transactions for this customer. These are all the subscriptions that I have provisioned as a CSP partner. You can see the long list here. And then from here, you can select any of these subscriptions and do things like, oh, let's suppose for Office 365 Business, my customer has grown beyond 50 users. Right now I have 50 licenses. I can add an additional 5 licenses on top of that right here within this experience by just clicking modify quantity. Or if for some reason they lost employees and went down to 45, I could similarly reduce the number of seats for this particular customer. Or let's suppose they wanted to order some additional add-ons. I could click on manage add-ons, and then I can order an add-on SKU based on what's logical for that base SKU. So those are the main capabilities here. You also have the ability to suspend a subscription on behalf of a customer. So there are it probably doesn't happen very often, but there might be circumstances in which you as a partner need to change the status of that subscription if the customer may have gone out of business or whatnot. You can go in here and change the status of that subscription. This is just an example of an available add-on. So the base SKU is business, and then you can order extra file storage, for example, and type in a number in gigabytes to do that. I wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking about some of the CSP capabilities that are a superset of the core Partner Admin Center, so you have an idea of how that operates there. All right, so we just have a couple of minutes. I wanted to click through a couple of slides that show some additional resources you should be aware of. These are not specific to partners per se, but partners definitely benefit from some of these things. One is the public roadmap that Office 365 has. Partners care about this because often they want to be informed as quickly as possible and be ahead of customers understanding this. And so go to the public roadmap and review what's coming up. Not every single feature or change in pixels are going to be represented here, but usually the major capabilities, we want to give at least a 30, 60, 90-day preview of what's coming up. First released. First release, the concept is first release, and this is available to partners and customers. Within your tenant, you can opt into first release, and that means you can get access to features before it hits the general release or the standard release by a certain amount of time. So there's more information about what that looks like. But similarly, partners oftentimes like to opt in their own tenant on the first release ring, if you will, so they can experience some capabilities before it hits the standard release ring. The Service Communications API. So I did show you within the Partner Admin Center that you could go to the Service Health Dashboard for a particular customer, and that's great for the portal experience. If you wanted to ingest that more programmatically, you could use the Service Communications API, which does honor the delegated administration relationship. So you as a partner could pull in this information for all the customers that you manage, including real-time information on service incidents, plan maintenance, as well as all the message center feeds that go into that customer's environment as well. So this is definitely something worth looking to. If you wanted to, for example, incorporate this into your own internal dashboards, this is a great way to do that. All right, a couple of key points to wrap it up. Understand the tools that are available to you. The Partner Admin Center, the Partner Admin mobile app, the PowerShell capabilities, and API capabilities, such as the Service Communications API, and determine which ones are right for you. Maybe not necessarily all of them, maybe just a subset. It's different for every partner. Partner Admin Center is the hub. That should be the main starting point. Obviously, the mobile app is more organized around those mobile scenarios. APIs and PowerShell that Matt talked about in particular, and how you can scale out your operations, and then glean better insights to the data and reports as well. And as Matt mentioned, when you go to download this deck later on, there's some of the full PowerShell scripts included as well. So definitely take a look at that. We're out of time, but I'm happy to stick around if there are questions that you want to come up and just talk to me. Appreciate you as partners. I know you guys are on the front line with our customers, and we'll continue to invest in these areas that we just described and making it easier for you to get to the information you need and manage and administer your customers. Thank you.